Hi, my name is Trace, and today I'm going to share my life story. For those of you that feel like there is something missing in your life, I encourage you all to take a little bit of time out of your day and just listen, because this could change your life forever. In all seriousness, I was an atheist for 17 years. In fact, I was a hardcore atheist, and everything I did was an action to prove myself to others. I had no worth, no purpose, and I had no meaning. I thought I was smarter than everyone else and that I had the world figured out. This is quite literally impossible, by the way, especially at the ripe age of 17. This belief took me nowhere, and I was selfish and greedy, and it ruined my relationships with those that mattered most. I indulged in all the things that made me feel good: sex, drugs, money, you get it. And all I wanted was to be rich, and I was going to do anything I could to get there: cheat, steal, lie, manipulate, put others down. Well, rock bottom. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this term, and it's somewhere I've been before, and it's one of the most life changing experiences one can live through. When I started smoking weed 2 years ago, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It seemed harmless, and it made me feel good, and it made me feel relaxed. What I didn't realize, though, is that I also started hanging out with negative influences. I was regularly hanging out with drug dealers and many other people I would never even associate myself with today. My relationship with my mom and my family began to decline, and there was more and more distance placed between my mom and I, one of the most important people in my life. I started partying, and I had made a lot of friends, and I thought I was pretty cool. I thought I was popular, but I was not happy at all. I had this addiction that I carried with me, and everywhere I went, I hated being around my family because I always had to hide the fact that I was high. Every single day I went to school blazed, and I learned absolutely nothing. This only caused me to feel immense guilt and shame, and I would say no every time my mom would ask me to hang out or take me somewhere, and instead I would go and smoke weed with my friends. I treated my family like garbage, and soon enough I was kicked out of my mom's. With only one place to go, I reached out to my dad, who was still living with his mom at the time. I found refuge there, and I was able to feel my addiction even more. They knew I smoked and would smoke with me, and it only made it worse. My dad worked 14 hours a day, and I would never even see it. My grandma was always out and about, and she never came home. When she did, she was drunk, and I would lock myself in my room to avoid her. All I did all day, every day, was smoke weed and hang out with more negative influences, and I started to lose the motivation and energy to keep on going. I had no kind of parental figure at my grandma's, and I was able to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. This freedom sounds beautiful at first, but when you're alone in a big house filled with drugs and alcohol, it became hard not to make the wrong choice. I would drink on school nights because I smoked so much weed I could hardly even get high anymore. I threw a party around New Year's, and over 70 people came to my house. I was hammered, and I had no control over what was going on. People just kept flooding in through the front door, and people were trashing my grandma's house. My dad got home in the middle of it and was not happy, to say the least. I cleaned up puke and everyone else's mess for days afterward, and only a few stayed to help and clean out of sympathy. And those weren't even my friends. They were random people that came to the party and just felt bad for me. My grandma has never forgiven me to this day, and my relationship with her is still soured, partly due to this party. I got kicked out of my grandma's house, and with nowhere to go, I turned back to my mom. She let me move back in only because she knew I had nowhere to go. My relationship with her was still severely damaged, and I did not stop smoking weed. At this point, I was smoking 4 to 6 times a day, and I only kept up with this addiction and paying for it by selling drugs to pay for my addiction. One day, I was smoking in the back of the parking lot with my friends, and someone called the cops on us. The cop came to my window after everyone but me and my buddy had left and asked us why we were there at midnight. We ended up telling him the truth, and he called our parents, and I got a ticket for possession of drug paraphernalia, which, by the way, is treated as the same as possession of the drug, but I didn't even have marijuana on me. This was by far the scariest thing that's ever happened to me, and in the weeks that followed, I developed this new mentality. Screw the cops, screw them for getting me in trouble, although they were only doing their job, and they put their lives on the line to protect us. Yet I was mad at them for protecting the law that I was knowingly breaking. I had to go to court and take drug classes, and I had a restraining order against my closest friends at the time. I was at an all-time low, and I had to stop smoking weed abruptly because the court was drug testing me. I was on house arrest, and I could not leave unless it was for school or work. I had extreme insomnia from quitting marijuana, and for those of you who say it's not physically addictive, you're lying to yourself. I couldn't sleep at night, and I lost all energy and motivation. I began having suicidal thoughts, and this is when I considered myself to hit rock bottom. I was at an all-time low, and I had no one to turn to. I had no real friends, and my relationship with my family was still awful. Eventually, though, I stopped hanging out with those people. I gave up marijuana, and I got really close with my family again. But there was still something missing. At this point, I hit up my young life leader, Evan, and he was so excited just to talk to me. He wanted to help me, even though I had pushed him away for so long. It literally took hitting rock bottom for me to get my life together and turn things around. But looking back at it, getting caught by the law was one of the best things that's ever happened to me, aka blessing in disguise. I claimed to be a believer and that I had given my life to Christ, yet I was still willing to knowingly sin. More recently, I got a job somewhere with the intention of getting closer with one of the girls that I knew that worked there. I have no issue with this particular girl, but deep down I knew she was just not the girl for me. She did not share my same beliefs or long-term goals, and we just weren't compatible. I knew all of this, but I ignored my gut feeling because she was drop-dead gorgeous. A relationship built on physical attraction is purely lust and not love, and this is one of the biggest sins. I knew all of this, like I said, but I ignored it and was willing to give in to sin. I stopped myself before anything happened, though, and finally decided to let go of the lust. It was not easy because she was so beautiful. Finally, I decided to fully give my life to Christ, and all the shame, anxiety, guilt, depression I had been experiencing was completely washed away. I feel like a whole new person now, and I've never been so motivated. I've never been so optimistic for my future, and I truly love life. It's a beautiful feeling. It's hard to believe that we live in a world today where I'm criticized and laughed at for my belief in Jesus. Just 100 years ago, about 99% of people believed in Jesus, and today that number is way, way lower. Atheism is much more popular today because we as humans have become full of ourselves. We've become egotistical and prideful, and everything we do is centered around ourselves. This is not good. Actually, this is terrible because society cannot function if everyone takes and no one gives. But it's hard to see that when you're personally benefiting. We think we have everything figured out. We have cell phones, we have cars, we can catch a flight across the world, we flew to the moon. Yet world hunger, poverty, war, and many more issues are more prominent than ever today. What gives? For this reason, atheism seems to be the most popular belief today. Let me ask you this. Would you change your beliefs just because it's unpopular to think differently, to be the one that's different among the rest? I've been made fun of countless times for bringing up the Bible and talking about Jesus. This does not bother me, actually, and it's more of a reflection of those that criticize me rather than a reflection of myself. Part of being a faithful Christian is extending my hand out to all, including those that do not believe, including those that do not love me back. I must have patience, as true love is patient. Of course, I have to love everyone for their current beliefs, because I too was turned away from God for a very long time. I'm not perfect, and it can be extremely hard to love someone that doesn't love you back, as I'm sure all of you can vouch. This is what Jesus instructs us to do, though, and if my fellow Christians did not show me the love while I was without God, I would have never seen the light. I believe all things happen for a reason, and God continued to show me his glory through others, and I began to see the light. I thought I was happy, which maybe I was at times, but I lacked meaning, and I would ask every day, why are we here? I would wonder why we continue to keep going if nothing happens afterwards. These are tough questions I'm sure all of you have asked yourself at one time, and it can be scary not knowing what's next, what it's all for, especially in the world we live in today. I never saw God himself, and I said it would take that for me to accept him into my life. Although I never saw his physical self, I began to see him through others. I began to see the light through faithful Christians that I had talked to for years who only wanted what was best for me. This is true love. In the Bible, it says to love your neighbor as yourself. This is the second commandment and of great importance, just like the rest. It means you must love your neighbor, and your neighbor being those around us, regardless of their beliefs, as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as Jesus loves you. Jesus' love for us is perfect and unconditional, and he loves us regardless of what we do, regardless of the sins that we commit. But anyways, if you're like me, you probably rolled your eyes when you read this, and I get that. I did. I would do the same thing. This Jesus talk can seem very fluffy at times, but it's the truth. Jesus died on the cross for us and paid the price of all of our sin, knowing that we are flawed. We all have temptations to sin, and this is only natural. We're humans. The best part about all of this is that God's gift is free. You do not have to change anything about yourself or do anything, for that matter, to receive God's gift. The thing is, we all have the choice. No one can make that choice for you but yourself. The choice is to accept God or not. It's not a question of whether or not he's there. It's whether or not you want to live a life with him or live a life with your back turned on him. A life with Christ is meaningful, and you will stay true to what matters. You might not end up with a Lamborghini and a mansion like the media portrays anyone with a good life should have, but I can promise you that you will have a much more loving relationship with those that truly matter. This is the only thing that will ever truly bring you happiness. My parents have not yet accepted Christ, and it was hard for me at first because I was never taught any different. No one ever showed me his true love, at least at first. You may not have seen it through your dad or your mom or your family or whoever, but I can promise you Jesus' love is out there for you. He specifically died for you and paid the price of all your sin. That is a God who cares. That is a God who loves you. So for those of you that are on the fence or have not yet accepted his love, I have only one question for you. What if you got to lose? Jesus promises you a wonderful, loving life when you give your life to him. So why not give it a try? What's stopping you? The desire for a bigger bank account? Don't want to go to church? The fact that you've already sinned? We've all sinned, so you can just throw that thought out of the window. Jesus already paid that price, and he loves us for who we are. Still unsure of your beliefs or think you need to see him physically to find him? Seek Jesus, and you will find him. Talk to those that are truly faithful to Christ, and you will see the light through these individuals. I promise each and every one of you, I only want what's best for you. The best part is, you too can be saved. That is why I'm sharing this. I accept everyone's beliefs, and we all come from different perspectives. Why not give this one a try, though? I promise you'll never regret it. Officially giving my life to Christ has been by far the best decision of my life, and it's improved my life more than any of you can imagine, and it continues to get better every single day. Take the leap of faith, and you will not regret it. I'm sharing this not for the attention, and not so that people think I'm a good person or whatever. I no longer care about what anyone thinks besides Jesus, and this is a truly freeing way to go about your life. It feels pretty badass to walk into high school knowing no one has any power over me besides Jesus. I literally do not give a damn about what anyone thinks of me, and this is quite exhilarating. It's amazing to know that Jesus loves you for who you are. I am confident because I know who I am. Jesus knows who I am and loves me for me. I don't have to be some cool fake person. I can be me, and he loves me for that, and that's amazing. I don't have to prove myself to anyone, and I could care less if others judge me. It's true confidence at its finest, true self-love at its finest. I'm sharing this because I know that if I was in your position and I had not yet accepted Christ into my life yet, something like this could have positively changed my life so much, and I would be so grateful just to read something like this. I'm not forcing any of you to accept Christ. I can't do that. Only you can. If you've tried everything and still nothing's worked so far, I encourage you to give this a try. You'll never look back. The choice is yours. For those of you that do not believe, again, I'm not trying to put you down, but have you come to terms with the fact that there's no afterlife for you? This is a very depressing thought, at least for me, and if I thought this way, I too would fear death. I do not fear death, because when it's my time, I will go to heaven and enjoy it for eternity. Also, if I thought this, and this may just be me, but I live a selfish, greedy life where I indulge in things that matter and the things that make, not the things that matter, the things that make me feel good, and I do everything that I want to get the things that I want, steal, manipulate, yeah, we already talked about this. Because this life is all I got, which it isn't. It's very comforting to know that regardless of what happens, I'll be okay in the end, but maybe that's just me. Save yourself or not, but why not do it anyways if you'll end up living a better life, eh? I guarantee you better relationships with those that matter. No more anxiety. No more depression. No more self-consciousness. The ultimate self-love and self-respect. And most important of all, finding your purpose and meaning, which is love, by the way. Again, please remember I was atheist for 17 years, and I get where some of you are coming from. Sometimes it can be hard to open your mind back up to love, but nothing is impossible. The relationships I found out through Christ are the most loving relationships I've ever had. And some of these people I trust my life with, even though I've only known them for a few weeks. It's quite a good feeling, let me tell you. And you don't need to be blood related to be part of a family. Before I found God, I believed that I was above everyone. I was my own God, and all I did was show my superiority over others by putting them down and making myself feel better. I thought I was perfect and that I was smarter and more attractive than everyone around me. First off, I don't care how smart, beautiful, cool, whatever you are. There are 7 billion other humans out there, and I can personally guarantee you're not the coolest, strongest, prettiest person out there. If you still think this, you're straight up lying to yourself. This can be hard to accept, but once you do, your life will improve tenfold. By the way, if you truly think you're above everyone, I can guarantee you people will view you as an asshole, and you will not be liked by very many people. I mean, not that you should care whether or not people like you, but this is the truth. We were all created with strengths and weaknesses, and whether you choose to see your strengths is all about how you look at things. Yes, some people are born better singers than others. Some are born athletes. Usain Bolt might be the fastest runner out there, but does that make him a god better than the rest of us? Absolutely not. Again, I'm not trying to put him down or discredit him, but what I'm saying is you can do it too. Great, you're a great football player. Cool, you're amazing at singing. There's nothing wrong with this, and I'd only encourage you to get better. The reality is, though, it doesn't make you better than everyone else. Anyone that puts in the blood, sweat, and tears can be good at something. And the more time you spend on something, the more skilled you will become. We all have things we are good at, and if you think you're bad at everything, you just haven't found your gift yet. I promise you, you have a gift. You just have to search for it. Find your strength, and make sure it's something you enjoy. Practice it. Get better at it. Make it your passion. Be passionate about it and love what you do. This is what will lead you to success. Who cares how much money you're making? Because as long as you're able to pay the bills, doing something you enjoy rather than working for the money is what will ultimately lead you to happiness. Look at all these rich celebrities praising drug use and expensive cars rather than meaningful lifestyles. Why? Because a happy family life doesn't make for a good dramatic media story headline. I can personally guarantee you that 99% of them are not even happy, and it's all fake. Money will never bring you happiness. If you've gotten this far, I encourage you to come and talk to me, or any Christian you know for that matter. Reach out and you don't have to convert. You don't have to convert to Christianity overnight. You don't have to go to church this Sunday, but try and learn about who God really is and what it's all about, and you will not regret it. I can't emphasize this fact enough. Also, I know that there are some of you that look at the world today and think, if God was real, why does he allow all the problems of today exist? This is something that I used to ask too, and, well, all of the problems in the world that we have today are a result of man's selfishness and nothing to do with God. And I know some of you have suffered the loss of a loved one or anything as devastating as that and asked, if God was real, why would he let this happen? Well, everything happens for a reason. I know it can be hard to see this in the moment, but life inevitably has its ups and downs, and we wouldn't know how amazing a happy life could be if depression was not also a thing. We have a tendency to take everything for granted until it's gone. It can be easy to have faith when things are going great, but as soon as something bad happens, people lose faith and they turn their back on God, and then they wonder why their life sucks. This is a part of life, guys. It might hurt to hear, but it's the truth. There's a reason for good and evil. Just as genuine love for God cannot exist unless we are freely given the choice to accept it or reject it. On top of that, if your loved one was saved, then it's not the end for them. They get eternal life in heaven, and when you realize that, you can be happy for them rather than mourn over their loss. I thank you guys for listening to me and just giving me the time to preach my opinion and listen to my story. If you guys have any questions, please ask me or come to me. Please. I want you guys to talk to me. I want to help you guys too. And if you guys don't want to listen to this, you don't have to. I'm not forcing you. That's the beauty of it. Thank you guys for your time.